The user in this demonstration is an architect working for a social housing company who has been asked to invest 60,000 euros in the refurbishment of buildings in a certain neighborhood using energy efficiency criteria. He first selects the corresponding area and logs in the platform. His administrator credentials will allow him to access to the features he will need to perform the assigned work. Right after that, the user creates a new plan, providing a name and a description, which will allow him to better identify this work in the future. Once he is working on the defined plan, the architect navigates through the 3D model until he reaches a view that allows him to have a look at the targeted neighborhood. Then, he chooses the energy demand indicator from the drop-down list of available indicators to check on the behavior of the buildings on the screen. Once there, he uses the filtering feature of the platform to restrict the amount of colored buildings. He has decided to remove both the newest buildings and the ones with lowest energy needs. Once he applies the filters, only the buildings that meet the requirements are colored. Plus, the user also removes the largest buildings, since the budget amount is limited. With this view on the screen, the user adds the desired buildings to the plan. He selects the two worst performing buildings among the colored ones, and also a third one that, despite it has been excluded from the previous selection, he knows it is suitable for refurbishment to the willingness of the tenants living in it. The user takes a look at the buildings on the plan to make sure all of them are included. Now, the architect is ready to begin with the creation of projects. The first project he creates is named Improve Window, and he uses the description field to write which actions are performed on each of the buildings. It will be very useful later on, helping him identify the differences among projects. After creating the project and checking that he is working on the desired one, the user applies appropriate changes to the buildings by interacting with the corresponding fields of data within the building form. For instance, in this project the architect wants to test how investing in window refurbishment influences the results. To do so, he moves to the tab Building Properties of the building form and changes the value that has been set by default in the building according to its age. He simulates a full window refurbishment, so he moves through all the walls in the building, applying the new values for windows with double glazing. Once he has finished creating all the projects he has imagined and applied the corresponding parameters to each one of them, the user takes a look at the list of projects to see if all of them are there with its corresponding description. Now the user is ready to compare the behavior of all the different scenarios, and sets all the projects in the comparison, removing the baseline situation. The architect needs to add a personal indicator, named as investment, and he introduces in the field the figures corresponding to the execution cost for each of the projects. Since the budget is strictly limited, he sets this new indicator as the most important one. The architect changes the weight and the thresholds of the indicators while looking at the results changing at the bottom of the screen. As suspected, the option Improve Windows is the most relevant one according to the defined parameters. The user prints the results and prepares the documents to meet with his boss. They have all they need to make a decision.